The Great Hall of the Galactic Assembly was silent. Representatives from 47 species sat in their designated sections, their eyes fixed on the massive holographic display at the center of the room. The display showed a fleet of warships moving slowly through space. Thousands of them. Each one carried the blood-red symbol of the Empire. Ambassador Park sat in humanity's small section near the back of the hall. She was a woman of 53 years, with streaks in her black hair and calm eyes that revealed nothing. Beside her sat two junior diplomats who looked nervous. They had good reason to be nervous. They were going to war. High Speaker, a tall being with silver skin and 4 arms, stood at the central podium. His voice echoed through the chamber as he spoke. The Empire has declared its intention to secure the neutral rim. 23 developing worlds fall within this territory, worlds that have no means to defend themselves. Murmurs spread through the assembly. The neutral rim was supposed to be protected space, a buffer zone where young civilizations could grow without fear, but they had grown tired of waiting for resources. They wanted those worlds, and they had the power to take them. Ambassador of the Empire rose from his seat. He was massive, nearly 3 meters tall, with dark skin and eyes that burned like hot coals. His voice was deep and filled with contempt. The weak exist to serve the strong. This is the natural law of the universe. The neutral rim is wasted space, filled with primitive species who contribute nothing. We will bring them order. We will bring them purpose. Several species in the assembly shifted uncomfortably. Some agreed with but were afraid to say so. Others disagreed but were equally afraid to oppose him. The fleet was the largest in the known galaxy. No single species could stand against them. High Speaker raised one of his 4 hands. We call upon all member species to declare their position. What forces will you commit to the defense of the neutral rim? One by one, the great powers spoke. The ancient beings who had watched stars die offered diplomatic support but no ships. Their fleet was old, and they had no desire to sacrifice it in a losing battle. The collective, creatures who thought as one mind, declined to participate. War was inefficient. They would observe and adapt to whatever outcome occurred. The Republic offered thoughts and prayers, nothing more. When humanity's turn came, every eye in the chamber turned to the small section at the back. The youngest species, the weakest member. What could humans possibly offer? Ambassador Park stood slowly. She straightened her formal jacket and walked to the speaking platform with measured steps. Whispers followed her. Some of them were not kind. Humans have been members of this assembly for 80 years, she began. Her voice was soft but clear. In that time we have been quiet, we have watched, we have learned. Many of you see us as children playing at being adults. You are not entirely wrong. Laughed openly, several other species joined him. Continued without reacting. You ask what Earth will contribute to the defense of the neutral rim. I am authorized to answer. She paused and looked directly at the ambassador. We will send 1 ship. The laughter that erupted was deafening. Even species who normally showed no emotion made sounds of amusement. 1 ship, against 4,000. The humans had finally proven themselves to be the fools everyone suspected. Wiped a tear of laughter from his burning eye. 1 ship. The humans send 1 ship. Tell me, Ambassador, is it a passenger shuttle? Perhaps a cargo freighter armed with mining lasers? Smiled. It was a small smile, but something in it made laughter fade slightly. You will see, she said simply, and returned to her seat. Far from the great hall, far from the politicians and their endless words, a different kind of truth was being prepared. Saturn's moon Titan hung in the blackness of space like a frozen pearl. On its dark side, hidden from all observation, a massive structure floated in low orbit. This was Shipyard Omega, and it did not exist. No records mentioned it. No sensors could find it. For 60 years, it had been humanity's greatest secret. Admiral Lee stood on the observation deck, looking down at the vessel taking shape in the construction bay. He was an old man now, 72 years of age, but his back was straight and his eyes were sharp. He had given his entire life to this moment. His communicator beeped. The message was short: authorization confirmed, Project Horizon active. Closed his eyes and took a deep breath. When he opened them again, they were filled with something that might have been pride or might have been fear, perhaps both. Begin final activation sequence, he ordered. Below him, thousands of engineers and technicians moved with practiced precision. Systems that had been tested 100 times were tested once more. Power cores that burned hotter than stars were brought online. Weapons that had never been fired were armed and ready. The ship that emerged from Shipyard Omega was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. It was long and sleek, its hull made of some material that seemed to drink in light rather than reflect it. No running lights marked its position. No visible weapons bristled from its surface. It moved without sound, without vibration, as if it was not truly part of normal space at all. Its name was painted on the hull in simple white letters, THS Eternal Dawn. When it jumped away from Titan, every sensor array within 3 light-years went dark for exactly 3 seconds. Scientists across the solar system would later argue about what had caused the disruption. They would never find an answer. The Eternal Dawn entered assembly space at coordinates that placed it directly between the fleet and the neutral rim. A single ship, alone in the darkness. Back at the Galactic Assembly, warning alerts began to sound. Something had just appeared on long-range sensors. Something that didn't match any known vessel configuration. Something that radiated more power than a small star. Stopped laughing. On the observation deck of Shipyard Omega, Admiral watched the Eternal Dawn's departure signature fade from his screens. He thought about the years of work, the sacrifices made, the secrets kept. All of it led to this moment. God help us all, he whispered, and God help anyone who gets in that ship's way. The game had changed. The galaxy just didn't know it yet. The bridge of the Eternal Dawn was quiet. Not the quiet of emptiness, but the quiet of focus. Every crew member sat at their station, eyes fixed on screens that displayed data streams too complex for most beings to understand. The soft hum of the ship's power core was the only sound, a heartbeat that pulsed through the entire vessel. Captain stood at the center of it all. He was a man of 45 years, with a face weathered by decades of service and eyes that had seen too much. His uniform was simple black, marked only by a small Earth emblem on his collar. He did not need medals or decorations. Everyone on this ship knew who he was and what he had done. "Status report," he said. His voice was calm, almost soft. Commander responded from her station on his right. She was his first officer, a woman with sharp features and sharper instincts. Before joining the Navy, she had spent 10 years in military intelligence. She could read a battlefield the way others read books. "All systems operating at full capacity. We're approaching the neutral rim border. Estimate arrival in 4 hours. Nodded slowly, and the fleet. Still advancing. Their vanguard is 200 ships strong. The main armada follows 12 hours behind. 200 ships in the vanguard alone. The full fleet numbered over 4,000. And here they were, one ship against an empire. Lieutenant Bay called out from the engineering station. He was young for his position, only 32, but his mind worked in ways that few could match. He had helped design the Eternal Dawn's power systems when he was still a student. Now he kept them running. "Captain, I'm picking up an assembly patrol fleet ahead. Signatures, 6 vessels." Considered this for a moment. They were ancient, older than most civilizations in the galaxy. They had seen empires rise and fall like waves on a shore. Their ships were outdated by current standards, but their wisdom was respected by all. "They will want to talk," said, "Let them come." The patrol fleet appeared on the main display as 6 silver shapes against the stars. They were elegant vessels, designed in an era when beauty mattered as much as function, but they were also slow and poorly armed compared to modern warships. A communication request came through. Ensign Minu, the youngest member of the bridge crew, handled it with practiced ease. He was 26, fresh-faced, and possessed an unusual talent for languages. He could speak 17 alien tongues fluently and understand dozens more. "They're requesting visual contact, Captain." "Accept." The main screen flickered and a face appeared. High Commander of the was old even by his species standards. His skin was the color of aged bronze, marked with lines that told stories of centuries. His eyes, large and dark, reflected wisdom and weariness in equal measure. "Human vessel," said. His voice carried the weight of ages. "You will identify yourself and state your purpose." Stepped forward. "I am captain of the Terran hegemony ship Eternal Dawn. We are here to defend the neutral rim." His expression did not change, but something flickered in his ancient eyes. "One ship against the Empire." "One ship," confirmed. The commander was silent for a long moment. Behind him could see officers working their stations. Their instruments were scanning the Eternal Dawn, trying to understand what they were seeing. "Your vessel does not match any configuration in our records," said finally. "Its power signature is unusual. Our sensors cannot properly classify it." "That is by design." Another silence. When spoke again, his voice was different, lower, more careful. "Captain, I have lived for 3,000 years. I have seen weapons that could crack planets like eggs. I have watched civilizations burn and rebuild themselves from ashes. In all that time, I have learned to recognize danger." He leaned closer to the screen. "What have your people built?" Met the ancient being's gaze without flinching. "A deterrent, High Commander, nothing more." "And if the deterrent fails?" For the first time, something that might have been a smile crossed his weathered face. "It won't." The patrol fleet moved aside to let the Eternal Dawn pass. As it did, transmitted one final message to his fleet. "Do not follow that ship. Do not engage it. Simply observe and pray that we are not witnessing the birth of a new terror." Meanwhile, aboard the flagship Vengeance Absolute, Warlord received troubling reports. His intelligence officers had gathered every piece of data they could find on the human vessel. They had analyzed its sensor readings, studied its energy output, and compared it to every known ship class in their databases. The results made no sense. "This is impossible," said Fleet Intelligence Chief, a younger who had risen through the ranks by being both clever and careful. "According to our analysis, this vessel's technology is at least 300 years beyond current assembly standards." Growled deep in his throat. "Humans have only been spacefaring for 2 centuries. They barely understand basic warp technology." "That is what they have shown us," said carefully. "Perhaps they have been showing us only what they want us to see." The warlord slammed his massive fist against the arm of his command chair. The metal bent under the impact. "I do not care about human tricks. One ship cannot stop an armada. One ship cannot protect an entire region of space. One ship is nothing but a gesture, a symbol." He rose from his chair and turned to face his bridge crew. "And symbols can be broken." He pointed at the main display, where the Eternal Dawn was now visible as a small dark shape against the stars. "Increase vanguard speed. I want that ship destroyed before the main fleet arrives. I want the galaxy to see what happens to those who challenge power." The officers obeyed. 200 warships adjusted their course, accelerating toward a single enemy. On the Eternal Dawn, Ensign looked up from his station. "Captain, the Vanguard is increasing speed. They'll reach us in 6 hours." Commander studied the tactical display. "They're coming straight at us. No tactical formation, no flanking attempts. They're confident." "They outnumber us 200 to 1. Lieutenant Bay pointed out. By their calculations, they should be confident. Captain walked slowly to the main viewport. The stars stretched out before him, beautiful and cold. Somewhere out there, billions of innocent beings waited to learn their fate. 23 worlds, countless lives, all depending on what happened next. "Let them come," he said quietly. "Let them see what one ship can do." The vanguard spread across space like a wave of death. 200 warships, each one bristling with weapons, each one crewed by warriors who had never known defeat. Their formation was simple because their tactics were simple. Overwhelm, destroy, move on. It had worked for 1,000 years. It would work again. At the center of the Vanguard commander watched the human vessel on his tactical display. It had not moved. It had not retreated. It simply hung there in the darkness, a single black needle against the stars. "The humans are either brave or stupid," his second officer said. Grunted, "There is no difference. Open a channel." The communication connected. Captain appeared on the screens, calm and patient. "Human vessel," announced. "You are in restricted space. Stand aside or be destroyed. This is your only warning." Did not respond immediately. He seemed to be considering the message carefully, as if it deserved serious thought. When he spoke, his voice was even. "This is Captain of the Terran hegemony ship Eternal Dawn. You are ordered to withdraw from the neutral rim immediately. All vessels must reverse course and return to space. This is your only warning." Stared at the screen. Then he laughed. His crew joined him, their voices filling the bridge with cruel amusement. "You warn us. One ship warns an armada," shook his head in disbelief. "Human, I will enjoy watching you die." He cut the connection and turned to his weapons officer. "All ships concentrate fire. Burn them from the sky." 50 ships responded to the order. Their weapons charged, energy building in their forward batteries, targeting computers locked onto the Eternal Dawn. For a moment, the human vessel was painted with enough firepower to destroy a small moon. Then they fired. The barrage was blinding. Plasma bolts, laser beams, and missile swarms streaked across space. They converged on the Eternal Dawn from every direction. Any normal ship would have been vaporized in an instant. Any normal ship would have ceased to exist. The Eternal Dawn was not a normal ship. Commander watched the incoming fire on her tactical display. Her voice was calm. Gravitational shielding to full power. Lieutenant Bay made the adjustment. Shield active. The weapon's fire reached the Eternal Dawn and something impossible happened. Instead of striking the hull, the energy bent around it, like water flowing around a stone, like light bending around a star. The plasma bolts curved away into empty space. The laser beams scattered into harmless light. The missiles lost their locks and spun off into the void. The Eternal Dawn remained untouched. On the ships, sensors went wild. Crew members shouted in confusion. Nothing in their training had prepared them for this. Nothing in their experience could explain it. Commander stared at his display. The human ship was still there, undamaged, unmoved. "Fire again," he ordered. "All ships fire everything." The second barrage was even larger than the first. 150 ships joined the attack. The space around the Eternal Dawn filled with deadly light. And again the weapons bent away. Again the ship stood alone and unharmed. Captain spoke quietly. "Commander, you may begin." Nodded. Her fingers moved across her console with practiced precision. Activating Cascade Lance Array. Primary targets, engine systems of lead vessels. Firing in 3, 2, 1. The Eternal Dawn responded. Lines of brilliant white light shot from hidden ports along its hull. They moved faster than thought, faster than any weapon the galaxy had ever seen. They struck 12 warships in perfect sequence, each beam lasting less than a heartbeat. The targeted ships did not explode. They simply stopped. Their engines went dark. Their weapons powered down. Their lights flickered and died. In 4 seconds, 12 mighty warships became floating metal tombs, dead but intact. Silence fell across the vanguard. "What happened?" Commander demanded. "Report." His officers scrambled to understand. The targeted ships were not destroyed. Their crews were alive, but their power systems had been surgically disabled, every critical connection severed with impossible precision. It would take weeks to repair them. The human ship had done this in 4 seconds. Felt something he had never felt before in battle: fear. "All ships," he ordered, his voice shaking slightly, "attack formation Delta. Surround the enemy. Give them no escape." The vanguard moved to obey, spreading out to encircle the eternal dawn. But as they moved, the human ship moved too, not away from them, toward them. Lieutenant Bay spoke up. "Captain, the AI combat system is requesting permission to engage full tactical mode." Considered for a moment. The AI at the heart of the Eternal Dawn was the most advanced intelligence ever created by human hands. It could process battle data faster than any organic mind. It could predict enemy movements before they happened. In full tactical mode, it would fight with a speed and precision no living being could match. "Permission granted," said. "Show them what we can do." The Eternal Dawn came alive. It moved through the formation like a ghost. Ships that tried to target it found their sensors blinded by electronic countermeasures. Ships that tried to ram it found themselves pushed aside by invisible gravitational forces. And whenever the Eternal Dawn fired, another vessel went dark. Ensign broadcast on all frequencies, his voice calm and clear in 17 dialects. "Vessels, you are outmatched. Power down your weapons and surrender. You will not be harmed. This offer will not be repeated." Some ships listened. Their crews, seeing the impossible battle around them, chose survival over pride. They powered down and waited. Others did not listen. They fought harder, firing wildly, desperately. The Eternal Dawn disabled them with the same surgical precision it had shown from the beginning. In 30 minutes, it was over. 43 warships drifted powerless in space. Their crews were alive but defeated. The remaining ships had scattered, fleeing back toward the main armada with tailies of terror. Captain stood at the viewport, watching the disabled vessels float by. Commander joined him. "0 casualties on both sides," she reported. "Every shot was clean. Every target was disabled, not destroyed." Nodded slowly. "Good, we're not here to kill, we're here to make a point." "I think we made it." Across the galaxy, observation drones transmitted footage of the battle to every corner of known space. Species that had laughed at humanity watched in stunned silence. Species that had dismissed humans as children now looked at their screens with new eyes. The High Commander reviewed the footage alone in his quarters. When it ended, he sat in silence for a long time. Then he whispered words in an ancient tongue that had not been spoken in centuries. The translation was simple: "The young ones have fangs." And aboard the flagship, Warlord watched the same footage with burning eyes. His vanguard shattered. His warriors defeated by a single ship. "Impossible," he growled. "This is impossible." But the proof floated in space before him, silent and undeniable. The Galactic Assembly had never seen a gathering like this. Representatives from all 47 member species packed the Great Hall, with thousands more watching through live transmissions across known space. The battle footage had spread like wildfire. Everyone had seen it. Everyone had questions. Ambassador Park walked to the central podium with the same calm grace she always showed. But now, the eyes that followed her were different. There was no laughter, no dismissal, only fear, and beneath it, a desperate need to understand. High Speaker raised his 4 hands for silence. The hall obeyed immediately. "Ambassador Park," he said, "the Assembly requires an explanation. What we witnessed in the neutral rim defies all understanding. How did your species develop such technology, and why was it hidden from us?" took a moment to look around the chamber. She saw the delegation, their ancient faces unreadable. She saw the collective, their eyes fixed on her with cold calculation. She saw the dozen other species who had dismissed humanity for 80 years. And she saw the empty chairs of the delegation. They had refused to attend. "High Speaker," she began, "members of the Assembly, you ask fair questions and you deserve honest answers. So let me be honest." She activated the holographic display behind her. It showed Earth, small and blue against the darkness of space. 80 years ago, when humanity first made contact with alien life, we were filled with hope. We believed the galaxy would welcome us. We believed we had found a community of enlightened beings who would help us grow. The image shifted to show early human diplomats meeting alien representatives. We quickly learned the truth. The galaxy operates on power. Species are judged by their military strength, their technological advancement, their ability to threaten or be threatened. The weak are ignored at best and exploited at worst. Murmurs rippled through the assembly, but no one argued. Everyone knew it was true. We saw what happened to young species who revealed their full capabilities too quickly. They showed their rare mineral deposits and were conquered within a generation. They demonstrated advanced medical technology and became laboratories for more powerful empires. In the galaxy's eyes, potential is not something to be nurtured. It is something to be taken. The holographic display changed again. Now it showed humanity's public technology, basic starships, simple weapons, unremarkable in every way. So we made a choice. We would hide. We would appear slightly below average, competent enough to earn a seat in this assembly, unremarkable enough to be ignored. We would smile at your jokes about our primitive technology. We would accept our place at the back of the Great Hall. And while we did this, we would work. The image shifted one final time. Now it showed a hidden facility orbiting Titan, Shipyard Omega. For 60 years, our greatest minds operated in secret. We studied every piece of alien technology we could acquire. We reverse-engineered systems that your species took for granted, and then we improved them. We advanced them. We asked questions that others had stopped asking centuries ago and found answers that others believed impossible. The image zoomed in on the eternal dawn, sleek and dark and terrible. Gravitational manipulation for shielding and propulsion. Quantum state targeting systems that process battle data faster than thought. Self-repairing metamaterial hulls that heal from damage in real time. Artificial intelligence that learns and adapts with every engagement. All of it developed in secret. All of it waiting for the moment when it would be needed. The assembly was completely silent. "You ask why we hid this," continued. "Because we feared becoming what we despised. We feared that if you knew our strength, you would try to destroy us before we could use it. We feared that in defending ourselves, we would become just another empire, just another predator in a galaxy full of predators." She paused and let her words settle. But now the Empire threatens innocent worlds. Now the neutral rim faces destruction. And so we have revealed what we can do, not to conquer, not to threaten, but to protect. High Speaker spoke carefully. "One ship has defeated 200. Impressive. But the Armada numbers over 4,000. Surely even your technology has limits." Smiled, it was a strange smile, both sad and proud. "The Eternal Dawn is not alone." She transmitted new coordinates to the display. The image shifted to show a region of space near Jupiter. And there, emerging from hidden docks like wolves from shadows, were 11 more ships, each one identical to the Eternal Dawn, each one radiating that same impossible power signature. "We call them the Horizon Fleet," said. 12 ships in total, each one capable of what you witnessed in the neutral rim, and if we must, we will build more. The silence that followed was profound. Species that had existed for stared at the display, trying to process what they were seeing. The calculations were simple. If one ship could defeat 200, then 12 ships could face thousands. Humanity was no longer the youngest and weakest species. In the space of a single day, they had become one of the most powerful forces in known space. High Commander rose from his seat. His ancient voice carried across the silent chamber. For 3,000 years, I have watched civilizations rise. I have seen the ambitious ones expand too quickly and burn. I have seen the cautious ones wait too long and wither. Never, in all my centuries, have I seen what humanity has done. He walked slowly toward the central platform, his bronze skin gleaming in the light. We thought we were mentoring children, teaching them to crawl while we walked among the stars. We looked down on them, laughed at them, dismissed them as footnotes in galactic history. He stopped before Ambassador and bowed his head, a gesture of respect not given lightly by one of the elder races. We were standing beside giants who chose to kneel, and now that they have risen, we must all ask ourselves, what will they do with the power they have claimed? Met his eyes. We will do what we have always done, High Commander, explore, learn, protect those who cannot protect themselves. We did not build the Horizon Fleet to conquer. We built it so that conquest would become impossible. Meanwhile, aboard the Vengeance Absolute, Warlord faced a choice. His intelligence officers had confirmed everything. 12 human ships now stood between his armada and the neutral rim. His fleet still outnumbered them massively, but his officers had seen what one ship could do. The mathematical advantage meant nothing if his weapons could not touch the enemy. "We can still win," insisted Fleet Commander. 4,000 ships against 12. Even if each human ship disables 100 of ours, we will still have enough to overwhelm them. "And how many of those 4,000 will follow orders?" demanded. "How many warriors will charge into battle knowing they cannot hurt the enemy? How many will watch their ships die around them and still advance?" The silence answered his question. Had conquered worlds. He had crushed rebellions. He had never known fear. But now, looking at the footage of his vanguard's defeat, he felt something cold in his chest. Not fear exactly. Something worse. Doubt. "The Armada will advance," he said finally. "All 4,000 ships. The humans claim they do not want war. We will test that claim. We will see if they have the will to face a true enemy." His officers obeyed. The Armada began its final advance. And in the darkness of space, 12 human ships waited. The Armada emerged from warp space like a storm rolling across the heavens. 4,000 warships spread across the void, their hulls painted with the blood-red symbols of empire. At their center, the Vengeance Absolute stood like a mountain among hills, the largest and most powerful warship ever built by hands. Watching from the bridge of the Eternal Dawn, Captain felt the weight of history pressing down on him. This moment would be remembered. Whatever happened next would shape the galaxy for generations to come. Around him, the other 11 ships of the Horizon Fleet held formation. They looked impossibly small against the tide. 12 dark needles against a wall of steel and fire. "All ships reporting ready," Commander announced. Her voice was steady, professional. Whatever fear she felt, she buried it deep. "Admiral Lee sends his regards from the command vessel. He asks if you have any final orders." Considered the question. Somewhere back on Titan, the old admiral was watching through quantum-link sensors, seeing everything in real time. He had built this fleet. He had given his life to this moment. Now all he could do was watch. "Tell him we will make him proud," said. Then he opened a channel to all 12 ships. "This is Captain to all vessels of the Horizon Fleet. In a few minutes, we will face the largest enemy force any human fleet has ever encountered. The galaxy is watching. History is watching. But more importantly, 23 worlds are watching. Worlds filled with innocent people who have never known war. People who are counting on us to protect them." He paused, looking at the faces of his crew. Lieutenant Bay at the engineering station, fingers ready on his console. Ensign at communications, headset in place. Commander beside him, eyes fixed on the tactical display. Every one of them prepared to give everything. Remember who we are. Remember what we're fighting for. We don't destroy unless we must. We don't kill unless there is no choice. Our goal is not victory through carnage. Our goal is peace through strength. Disable, don't destroy. Protect, don't conquer. We're not here to replace one empire with another. He straightened his shoulders. All ships engage at will. Let's show the galaxy what humanity can do. The Armada opened fire first. Thousands of weapons discharged at once, creating a wave of destruction that lit up the void like a second sun. Any conventional fleet would have been annihilated in the first seconds. The Horizon fleet moved. They scattered like mercury drops, each ship following its own path through the incoming fire. Their gravitational shields bent the weapons around them, creating tunnels of safety through the storm. And as they moved, they fired back. Cascade lances struck across the battlefield with surgical precision. Ships lost power in rapid succession, their engines dark, their weapons silent. The human ships danced between the enemy vessels, never staying in one place long enough to be targeted, never stopping their relentless assault. Commander coordinated the battle with cold efficiency. Her tactical displays showed a constantly shifting pattern of movements and attacks, each ship supporting the others, covering weak points, exploiting openings. The Horizon fleet fought as a single organism, 12 bodies sharing one mind. The AI systems are predicting tactics before they execute them, she reported. Their formation changes are being countered before they complete. They can't adapt faster than we can respond. Lieutenant Bay pushed the Eternal Dawn systems beyond their rated limits. The ship hummed with power, its metamaterial hull glowing faintly as it processed the stress. We're running at 147% capacity. She's holding, but I don't know for how long. She'll hold as long as she needs to, said. Keep her flying, Lieutenant. Across the battlefield, the Armada began to fragment. Ships that had expected to crush the humans in moments found themselves helpless against an enemy they could not hit. Vessels that tried to ram the human ships were pushed aside by gravitational fields. Missiles were redirected back toward their launchers. Fighter wings were disabled by precisely targeted EMP bursts. Ensign broadcast surrender protocols continuously, his voice calm and clear in every dialect. Power down your weapons and you will not be harmed. This is not a war of extermination. Surrender and live. Surrender and return to your families. Some listened. Hundreds of ships powered down their weapons and went dark, their crews choosing survival over futile resistance. Others fought on, driven by pride or fear or simple stubbornness. The Horizon fleet disabled them all with the same patience and precision it had shown from the beginning. Aboard the Vengeance Absolute, Warlord watched his empire crumble around him. Ships were going dark by the hundreds. His officers were screaming reports he could no longer process. His warriors, the finest fighters in the galaxy, were being defeated by an enemy they could not touch. Enough, he growled. He rose from his command chair and pushed aside his tactical officers. If we cannot win with numbers, we will win with will. All engines to maximum. Direct intercept course with the lead human vessel. His second officer stared at him. Warlord, that is suicide. Their weapons will disable us before we reach them. Then we will die with honor, roared. The galaxy will remember that the Empire did not surrender. We did not bow to human trickery. We fought until the end. The Vengeance Absolute accelerated toward the Eternal Dawn, its massive engines burning with desperate fury. It was the largest ship in the fleet, the symbol of power. If it fell, the Empire fell with it. Captain saw it coming. The massive flagship charging directly at him, weapons blazing, shields at maximum. A final act of defiance from a proud warrior who would rather die than admit defeat. He could have destroyed it. The Eternal Dawn's weapons could tear through those shields like paper. One command, and the Vengeance Absolute would become a cloud of debris. But that was not who was. That was not what humanity had chosen to be. "All weapons hold fire," he ordered. Commander looked at him sharply. "Captain." "Match their course, close to gravitational manipulation range." The Eternal Dawn turned toward the charging flagship. Two vessels rushing toward each other, one massive and furious, one sleek and silent. At the last moment, the Eternal Dawn activated its gravitational systems at full power, not to destroy, but to push. The Vengeance Absolute shuddered as invisible forces gripped its hull. Its forward momentum slowed, then stopped, then reversed. Gently, almost tenderly, the human ship pushed the flagship away from the battle, guiding it toward a stable orbit around a nearby moon. The Vengeance Absolute came to rest, powerless but intact. Its crew was alive. Its warlord was alive. Stood on his darkened bridge, surrounded by dead screens and silent systems. He had expected death. He had welcomed it. Instead, the humans had shown him something worse. Mercy. Across the battlefield, ships saw their flagship spared. They saw their warlord, the symbol of their empire's strength, captured alive when he could have been killed. The fight went out of them. One by one, they began broadcasting surrender signals. The battle ended 3 hours after it began. The final count, 2,847 ships disabled or captured, 0 ships destroyed, 0 casualties on either side. Humanity had won its first major galactic battle without killing a single enemy. 1 year later, the Galactic Assembly gathered to witness something unprecedented. Ambassador Park stood at the central podium, accepting her election to the High Council. Behind her, representatives of a dozen species who had once laughed at humanity now watched with respect. The Empire had been reformed under Assembly oversight. Their military was disbanded, their leaders held accountable. Warlord had been sentenced not to death, but to witness the rebuilding of the worlds his people had threatened. He would spend his remaining years watching peace grow where he had planned destruction. "You ask what humanity wants," said, her voice carrying across the silent chamber. "We want what we have always wanted, to explore, to learn, to protect those who cannot protect themselves. We hid our strength because we feared becoming what we despised. Now that you know what we can do, watch what we choose to do with it." Far from the assembly halls, Admiral Lee retired the Horizon Fleet to reserve status. The ships would remain ready, but humanity made clear they were shields, not swords. Captain was offered promotion to Admiral. He declined, requesting instead to captain the Eternal Dawn on a deep space exploration mission. War had never been humanity's dream. The stars had always called to them, and now, finally, they could answer. In the historical archives, scribes updated the entry for humanity. After 3,000 years of records, they added a single notation. Approached with caution, trusted with confidence. The sleeping giants woke not to conquer but to guard. Perhaps this is what strength was always meant to be. And on a colony world in the neutral rim, a world that had never had to know the horror of war, children of a dozen species looked up at the night sky. They pointed at the stars and dreamed of the future. Somewhere out there, 12 dark ships kept watch over the galaxy. And humanity, the youngest of species, had proven that true power was not measured in destruction. It was measured in mercy. The end.